have the room when it comes to education. And the number one area where we really need to focus on if we really need to succeed is to focus on the pay and compensation of teachers. This has been a long issue in the U.S. and especially in Michigan, where teachers are way underpaid and underappreciated. And it's sickening to see the brightest minds who really want to teach shy away from it.
Not do it because the pay is not great. Yeah, Adele, great point. Thanks very much for the call. Rick Pluta, what does this report say about teacher pay?
It really focuses more on teacher training and professional development. Although, you know, the idea of paychecks is also hanging over this. That it says that, you know, that the state needs to make teaching an honored and appreciated profession. It talks a lot about accreditation and improving education at the front end and professional development for teachers. But if you're going to have teachers that are professionally developed, you have to, you know, pay them like they are as well.
Let's go to Monica in Farmington. Monica, welcome to Detroit today.
Hey, thank you for listening. I don't really think it has anything to do with the money that is paid or a new board. I think it's a type of classes that are taught not just in Michigan but all over the United States, because there is no world history, world geography. So when students travel to other countries or when they deal with other cultures, they are getting very, very uncomfortable, and this triggers animosity everywhere. Even I taught university for 13 years, and I noticed the students when they travel abroad, they really had no idea where they were going. And then when you don't have any knowledge of history or geography, you tend to repeat the mistakes from the past. So the education of American students, when they travel abroad, they are at a disadvantage when you compare them when people travel here.
Yeah, Monica, that's a great point. Rick Pluta, not just in terms of history and history education, but content. How much does this report focus on what we're actually teaching children in Michigan schools as opposed to what the structure is?
Well, I mean, we've actually tackled that because we've got the Common Core, which are the curriculum recommendations that were largely developed by government.
Right.
And, you know, it says that we should stick with that. But, of course, that's very controversial within the Republican coalition that's currently governing in Lansing. And, you know, Rick Snyder has basically been, you know, trying to, you know, head that off at the, you know, at the gate for his entire time in office.
Okay. Rick Pluta, Capitol Bureau Chief of the Michigan Public Radio Network. As always, thanks for joining us on Detroit Today.
As always, it's a pleasure, Steve.
Absolutely. All right, up next, we'll talk about deficit spending and GOP leadership. They've got the White House, they've got Congress. They say they want to do big things, but they also want to reduce the amount of money we pay for them. Is that possible, or are they even serious about that? We'll talk about it next with Jeffrey Dorfman, Professor of Agriculture and Applied Economics at the University of Georgia, and later in the program, David K. Johnson, economic specialist, journalist, and author, will join us, and we'll hear from you, 313-577-1019. Stay with us on Detroit Today.
WDET is supported by the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, dedicated to promoting informed and engaged communities and committed to helping public radio advance quality journalism in the digital age. More at knightfoundation.org.
Most public radio stations will soon begin their traditional pledge drive and interrupt programs for a week or more. But WDET is different. We're committed to raising as much of our spring funding goal as we can without interrupting your listening. So I'm here to remind you that it's time to give. WDET is the team that works for you and with you, holding our leaders accountable and moving our region forward. Join Team DET. Renew your support or make your first gift now at WDET.org.
WDET is supported by the All-School STEAMY Showcase with opportunities in science, technology, engineering, arts, and math education, and showcasing all DPSCD schools and innovation. Sunday, April 2nd at Eastern Market. More at DetroitK12.org/enroll.
News,
Music,
culture,
and community.
every day.
Every day.
Every day.
On 101.9 WDET.
Detroit's public radio station.
You're listening to Detroit Today on 101.9 WDET. I'm Stephen Henderson, and of course, always, thanks for joining us. It is time for WDET Spring Fundraiser, and as we have been doing recently, we will stop the fundraising when we hit our goal of $275,000. So if you go to WDET.org and help us out, renew your membership, or join for the first time, we'll stop the fundraising when we hit that magic number of $275,000. Think of the programming that you count on here at WDET. Think of the interruption that you experience during fundraising. We can end those interruptions if you help us out at WDET.org. All right, an expansive wall along the border with Mexico. A plan to dramatically improve infrastructure throughout the country. Numerous proposals cut taxes. Can President Trump and Republicans in Congress actually pay for all those things? And can they do them while they also reduce the deficit, which is something that the party has always said is part of its list of priorities. Joining me now to talk about GOP priorities and policy making over the next few years is Jeffrey Dorfman, a professor of agriculture and applied economics at the University of Georgia. Jeffrey, welcome to Detroit Today.
Thanks, glad to be with you.
Absolutely. Give us a call if you want to talk about this subject. Talk about the balance between spending and policy outcome. We have had 8 years of pretty heated debate about government spending. President Obama took office and increased government spending quite a bit to try to get us out of the deep recession that was going on when he was elected. Since then, he's sort of pared that back. The deficit has gone down, but Republicans have run consistently against the idea that there is a deficit at all, saying that we ought to balance our books and that we can do that and deliver all the services that matter. Where do you see that balance being struck? Where do you want to see that balance struck? Would you like to see more programming out of Washington? Do you want to build the border wall with Mexico? Do you want to dramatically improve infrastructure, spend maybe $1 trillion on infrastructure in this country, something that's badly needed? And if you want to do that, then how concerned are you about spending more money than we take in tax revenue? What is the role that the deficit plays in our economy in your mind? 313-577-1019 is the number to join the conversation. That's 313-577-1019. You can also go to the WDET Facebook page and put your comments there. You can go to Twitter and hashtag Detroit Today, and we will try to work your comments into the conversation. Talk to us about the things that you hear from Washington about deficit spending versus programming, and what that makes, what parts of that make sense to you or do not. Jeffrey Dorfman, I'm going to start with you, of course. Talk about this dialogue that we've been having, not just over the last 8 years, but for a very long time in this country, about the role of deficit spending in keeping government flush with cash to do the things that it needs to do, but also in the economy. Also then talk about what the Republicans say they want to do now that they have control of the White House and Congress. They say that we've got to get rid of this deficit. Who's right here?
Probably nobody. The Republicans have said they want to bring the deficit down. They've said they want to bring tax revenue down. They said they want to bring spending down on some things, but they seem intent on increasing spending on other things like defense or infrastructure by an equal amount. So it's hard to find anybody with a credible plan to reduce spending. Therefore, since some people want to reduce taxes, it seems hard to figure out how the deficit would go down.
Of course, the deficit has been going down for for 6 or 7 years under the Obama administration. He doesn't get a lot of credit for that.
Well, he shouldn't.
Why not?
Because the only reason the deficit looks like it's going down is because of how enormously he inflated the deficit with his stimulus spending. The Obama stimulus package, this is an amazing stat, was larger than the sum total of every stimulus package in every recession in United States history, even if you adjust all the previous ones for inflation. But it's not a question of, well, that was a long time ago and the dollar was worth more. If you adjust for inflation, we spent, in fact, more than twice as much on the last recession in stimulus than in all previous ones added together.
Right.
So we got an enormous $1 trillion deficit for 3 years. Sure, 5 or 600 billion looks good compared to that, but if it wasn't for that,